Most people struggle with small talk for one simple reason. They don't know what to say. No words means no confidence. No confidence means more avoidance. And the cycle just keeps going. But in this video, I'm going to show you how a single script changes the way you handle small talk from the ground up. I'll be going over with you 3 simple scripts that give you exactly what to say so you can walk into any small talk situation and actually feel prepared. But before we do that, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Blake, and I am the creator of SocialAnxietyHaven.com. When I was 19 years old, I was diagnosed with social anxiety, a fear of being judged, embarrassed, or rejected in social situations. For years, I struggled with small talk, not because I was socially unintelligent, but just because I wasn't aware of what to say. But what I realized over years of confusion and frustration is that having a script before going into one of these conversations enormously helps. Not because we need it, but because it allows us to have a little bit more confidence that if things go wrong or things get awkward, we always have a baseline to return to. And that is why I want to share with you the scripts that I have in this video. So let's get into it. The first script that we'll be going over is the ARE method. This is a core fundamental principle of social skills training. So it's very important that we understand what it is and how it relates to conversations and daily socializing. The A in this method stands for anchor. This is when you emotionally ground a situation with a shared reality that you are experiencing with someone else. An example of this can be seen in the following scenario. Let's say that it's the first day of school and you go into class and it's absolutely packed. There's like 40 people in the room and there's like no space for you to sit down, except in the really far back of the room next to somebody who you barely even know. Once you sit down, you feel this kind of urge to kind of talk to the person, but you don't really know what to say. Immediately, you look around the room and you're just like, man, the classroom's packed. Maybe I should just say that. In order to break the ice, you could say something along the lines of, man, this classroom is absolutely packed. And just by doing this, you are anchoring the social situation in a shared reality that you and the other person are experiencing. The reason this is important is because it removes the awkwardness and randomness of starting a conversation. And the best kinds of anchors are normally obvious, low stakes, and easy to agree with. The R in this method stands for reveal. This is where you personally reveal your own opinions about the situation that you are experiencing with another person. It normally happens right after the anchor, so you can release the initial tension in a conversation. For example, in the scenario prior, you might say to the person sitting next to you in class, man, this classroom is really packed. I thought it was just going to be a small elective. In doing this, you are anchoring the conversation to a shared reality that you're experiencing with another person, and you're adding your own personal opinions into the conversation. This is actually really important because it shows the other person who you are, which not only reduces your own self-consciousness, but invites the other person into listening and responding to what you're saying. Without the reveal, the conversation often stalls. The anchor points out the shared reality, but nothing actually shifts emotionally. The interaction can feel flat, tense, or awkward. But what the reveal does is it adds the spontaneity and emotionality of your authentic opinion, which is likely to stimulate a response from the other person. And the best kinds of reveals normally are short, low pressure, and relevant to the anchor. The final step in the ARE method is where you encourage. This is where you explicitly encourage the other person to respond to your own opinion, often through a question. A good way to think about this is to think about the anchor and the reveal as the cake of the social interaction, while the encourage is like the icing. It's the final touch that makes the conversation lively and exciting. So going back to the example that we used prior, you might say to the stranger sitting next to you, man, this classroom is absolutely packed. I expected it to just be an elective. Have you taken this professor before? The reason why the encourage is so important is because it makes the other person feel included. While the anchor grounds the conversation and the reveal reveals your own opinions, you haven't directly asked for the other person's opinion yet. And this is where the encourage shines. There's many different ways to encourage people to respond, but the best way is with a simple, relevant question. The best kinds of encourage questions are normally low pressure, easy to answer, and relevant to what you said. So on the whole, the ARE method, or anchor, reveal, encourage, is a great way to initiate conversations with people because it emotionally levels a situation, reveals your own personal opinion, and directly asks for another person's opinion. So in doing this, you are not only making your own opinion heard, but creating the space for a deeper conversation to get started. But after conversations begin, frameworks like ARE start to fall short. You can't keep using the same technique once things start to get deeper and more complicated, because then things will start to get boring. So for the rest of this video, I will go over specific techniques that you can use to make conversations more interesting once they already begin to happen. The first one I'll go over is linking, which is taking something that someone said and linking it to something that is related to the topic. Generally speaking, there are two ways linking is accomplished. The first is through what is called a zoom in, which is where you ask about a specific detail related to what the person said. For example, if someone said to you, "I'm a business major," you might say, "Oh nice, why did you choose business?" What this does is it links what the person said to something deeper about who the other person is. The next way linking is accomplished is through what is called a branch out. This is where you expand the topic to something related to you. For example, if someone said to you, "I've been going to the gym a lot," you might say to them, "Are you more into cardio or lifting? I've been doing a little bit of both recently." What this does is it branches out a topic that someone else is mentioning to you and is relating it to something that you are interested in. Overall, linking is a great strategy for keeping conversations going when you have nothing else to say to the person. It allows you to stay on track with the person who you are with and not get off track too much. The second technique that I'm going to mention in this video is using a statement question format to reduce cognitive load. Statement questions are really easy to replicate because they use a very simple format. All you need to do is agree with what the other person just said and ask a follow-up question in response. For example, if someone said that they did poorly on an exam, you could say, "Yeah, that exam was really hard for me too. What was the hardest part of it for you?" What this does is it immediately validates the other person's emotions, and it gives your own opinion that asks a deeper question that continues the conversation. Another example of this can be seen in the following example. Let's say someone walks up to you and says the classic, "The weather's pretty nice today." As your follow-up statement, you could say, "Yeah, I totally agree. Why do you like it so much?" This simple statement question format is a really easy way to continue a conversation without much cognitive load. It's a really easy structure to follow, so it's really easy to implement. And so there you have it. 3 simple scripts or easy techniques that take the guesswork out of small talk. The ARE method gives you a reliable structure to fall back on whenever a conversation catches you off guard. Linking keeps things moving naturally so you never have to scramble for what to say next. And the statement question method lets you carry your own side of the conversation without feeling like you're being interrogated or putting all the pressure on the other person. And here's the one thing that I want you to take away from all of this. The key to any conversation, small talk or otherwise, is making the other person feel heard. People remember how you made them feel far more than they remember what you actually said. So while these scripts give you the words, your real job in any conversation is to pay attention and show genuine interest. If you want to keep building on what you learned today, make sure to check out my video on job interviews, where I talk about how to prepare when you have social anxiety. It pairs really well with what we covered today. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next time.